Let's go today to our caller from the 250 area code. Who's calling today from 250?
Hey, David. My name is Ashwin. I'm actually calling from Canada. I'm up in Victoria. I'm not sure if you know where that is. It's just a couple hours north of Seattle.
Okay, a couple hours north of Seattle. What's going on today?
Actually, I have a quick question for you. I don't know how quick it is actually, but so I think that you're probably aware too that like the eviction crisis is going over pretty soon here, probably in the next couple months, if not the next month.
Yes.
And I was wondering what you think of strategically withholding rent as a tactic, and how do you think that would pan out in the U.S., or how effective do you think that would be?
So I'm glad you're asking this. I've talked about, I've done a bunch of segments, and there's one in particular about types of activism where I've said, calling your representatives is great. Signing petitions online, I don't think it really does anything, but that
Yeah.
activism tactics that may get more attention would be mass rallies in urban centers, strategic defaults of debt of different kinds, which could include coordinated non-payment of mortgages, coordinated non-payment of rent, etc. I think the complexity right now is it wouldn't just be activism. Like there's 32% of people were unable to pay their entire mortgage or rent on July 1st. So what we're talking about is an actual economic crisis in which a third of the country wasn't able to fully make their July 1st payments. And then adding on top of that, another element of this happening strategically during a time when there may be an extended eviction moratorium or there may not. It's unclear. They're talking about it, but it's not clear a deal is actually going to get done. So it's extremely speculative what would happen in this particular case. The idea for people to understand of saying nobody pay your mortgages, nobody pay your rent, is that if everybody really did it, and of course, everybody would never do it. There's a huge part of society that would say, I'm fine. I'm not going to get involved in this. I'm not going to hurt my credit or whatever. But if a large enough portion of society withheld mortgage and rent payments, you would instantly cripple the financial industry with a massive liquidity crisis. It would probably force the government to have to, in the short term, put in a crazy amount of money to keep these financial institutions afloat. And the idea would be it would bring stakeholders to the table to actually negotiate some of the change that people want. Now, agreeing on what the change people want is a whole other issue and brings complexity. But it's an interesting idea. I don't know what adding a strategic default on top of an existing eviction and foreclosure crisis would really do, a potential one. But it's a very interesting question.
Yeah, I think quickly, I think it would pan out a lot worse in Canada, where there is a little bit more of a social net for people. But I think in America, where I don't know if the social net is quite there. So these kind of, I think the view on it would be a little more positive in certain places versus other places, right? So that's why I was asking you how you thought it would pan out in the U.S. But yeah, I really appreciate your response.
I mean, listen, if it happened, if you had a significantly coordinated mortgage and rent default in the United States, it would immediately become hyper politicized, where it would be, attacked by the right as just grifter, lazy people on the left who don't want to pay their bills and so on and so forth. The left would likely hail them as doing something really good in order to inspire change, potentially at their own economic peril. And it would become, honestly, just like everything else, where it would become hyper partisan. And I don't know how far we would get with it, unfortunately.
Yeah, fair enough. I agree with you there. Yeah.
All right, my friend. Thank you for the call. Very interesting question. I appreciate it.